Afternoon, Ralph. How much belief has that result against Arsenal given the players this week? And 3 unbeaten as well. You must be sort of a good feeling around the team and the squad and the whole place at the moment.
Yeah, we don't need to hang it too high. We had a good run the last 3 games. It's always important in the football that you take defeats not too serious and wins not too emotional. So, but it was an important week for us. The 5 points were important for us, and now we are moving on this journey and hoping that some players are coming back from injuries.
And on that, is there some good news on that front in terms of players that are coming back? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, Romeo is today first time in the session, and it was a pleasure to see him playing. Would like to have him in the squad on the weekend, but I think don't have the okay so far from the physios, so we have to wait. But it's normal because he was out for so long, and now he's the first day in the session, so we must be attention. But it is good to see immediately his quality on the pitch, what is fantastic to watch. And then with Amel it also looks good. That can be that he starts the next week to train with the team. He wants to try it from next week on, I think. It could be an option for the Newcastle game maybe. And with Kyle it's not that good. I think it can be that he doesn't make it to the last game against Liverpool, so we will see if it is possible or not. Low chance, I think. And then we have only Tino as a long-term injury, what we have to wait for.
And looking ahead to this weekend, Crystal Palace are a team around you and around the table. Are games like this one sort of pivotal for your season? And what sort of test do you think they'll give you?
Yeah, it's a team that, especially at home, has made some good results this season. They are at home in the moment very strong and had some good results in the past. I must say a team with massive quality. We had some tough fights against them in the past, and we know how tough it is there. But we had also some good results there. I remember a win. I remember the last year draw, and it was a good away game from us last year.
On the goals front, would you like to see sort of your team chipping in a few more? See, Che Adams is your top scorer. He's got 5 this season, but nobody apart from Joe Reba has got more than 2 goals. Do you want to see more goals in your team?
What manager doesn't want to see more goals in his team? Tell me one. Maybe Pep doesn't need to, but everybody else, I think, has definitely the wish that his team score more often. Yeah, sure, would help us.
And just the last thing from me. Any truth in some reports that you're interested in signing the winger Zakaria Aboukal from Toulouse? Any?
Who?
Zakaria Aboukal.
No, I never heard. No.
I'm sort of very much interested.
Yeah. There are a lot of reports out there for players they want to come to us or in the summer, but we have no transfer window now, so it surprised me a little bit that it's coming up now. No.
Raj?
Hi, Ralph.
Hi.
Just talking about you talked about the last result against Arsenal, but the 2 matches before that as well, with the upturn in form and results as well. Would you put that down to the fact that finally being able to integrate and get everyone on the same page in terms of the new signings and so on? I saw an article with Ainsley Maitland-Niles talking about how it had taken him a while to settle and so on. Is everyone now singing from the same hymn sheet?
Yeah, I think it is normal. We had really a lot of changes in the summer in the squad, and you're going through some terms of finding each other and finding the group and committing the group together. But as I said, in football, you start a season with a group, and you are on this journey where you have to stand defeats and celebrate wins, and this everything, brings you together and makes the commitment what you need to have in a group, and this sort of experiences we make together is the thing that keeps that fixes it together and that holds the group together, and together with the staff and the supporters, I think we we are always through the season through some ups and downs, and this is what we know, and in the end we have the chance to grow with this, and this is for us the biggest success to go through these times and find the right decisions in these moments.
Has it taken longer than perhaps you might have expected to get everyone playing the way you want them to be playing?
I think we had some problems with injuries in this beginning of the season. What caused us some points, I think, especially the injury of Romeo was something that we have been in a very good run and had struggled then afterwards. And you can see why, because when you see him today on the pitch, then you know what quality he has and what quality he can bring to you. But this is normal in football. Yeah, there's not always a constant movement or the constant direction where the development goes.
In terms of opponents, Crystal Palace, are they particularly unique in the way that they play? They've got so many decent players on the ball. Are they a different challenge from perhaps what you might face week to week in terms of those players with that individual ability who can carry the ball?
Yes, can really say unique if you want. Yeah, it's a typical Crystal Palace team in the moment where you are not always expecting. When you see the goals they've scored that this season, is super goals they scored there. Yeah? Fantastic goals with beautiful counterattacks. With also when you are deep defending and find solutions. So they have definitely the quality to hurt every team. But we have also shown in the past that there are some parts they don't like, and especially when you set them under pressure, I think they are also able to make some mistakes, and you can definitely win some balls and score some goals also against them.
Of course, at the back of everyone's mind at the moment, we've got this break coming up with the World Cup and so on. Do you find that comes into your thinking? It's like it's something in there in the near distance where you think, let's get to there, and then we take a look at things again, or do you see the season as a more fluid thing?
You mean because of the danger of injuries for players, or what do you think?
Just in general, it's just this sort of thing that isn't normally there in the middle of a season, and now it's perhaps something to aim at a target to think, let's get as far as there and see where we are.
No, not really. I mean, there are not many games left. Yes, that's right. But I see more the fact that some players will have some thoughts about it, and then maybe. It would be interesting in the last rounds now how much duels they will take or how much they will throw in everything that is out there. So I think in a game you cannot stop doing what you like to do the best, and I think it's always risky when you think you can play with 50% of tackle. This is not working, I think. But it will be interesting to watch because this is a unique situation that we have a World Cup in middle of the season where you normally have the most intense time of the year. But now you are preparing then for international games, so it would be interesting to watch. But we don't have that many players in our team to go to the World Cup, so we cannot speak about that. We can fully go until the last game.
Is it something you say would be interesting to watch? Is it something you perhaps slightly concerned about in terms of your team selection? That if you have players that are interested, that maybe you're thinking, are they going to give me everything?
As I said, there are not that many in my team. They're going to the World Cup, but a few do, and it's important for them to push hard until the last moment. Also, although you have a higher, I don't know if it's a higher risk to get an injury, but for me, I was the feeling that the harder you go in the duels, the less risk you have to get injured. When you are going with 50-50, then it's not working, I think.
Thank you.
I'm just smiling at the thought of Lianco running around Anfield in 3 weeks. What a hard time. Right. Ralph, just on the league, actually, something slightly different. We know the break's coming. But usually, if someone said to me, okay, what happens in the Premier League, I would say, well, the promoted clubs start well, and then as the season goes into the winter, it gets tougher, and the big squads come to the top, and the big clubs, and they find their rhythm, and that happens. And then I'm thinking, well, what's going to happen this year? Because the promoted clubs and the smaller clubs are going to get a nice break for 6 weeks. They're not going to be tired when we get to Boxing Day. They're going to be fresh. And I'm looking at the 5 points between 11 teams, and I'm thinking, is this the hardest season to work out what's going to happen? It is different, isn't it? How do you view that scenario with the teams and the freshness and everything?
Well, from the table in the moment, it looks very tight. There are no team dropping really. There's no team that is really far behind. So I think important is that you take, as I always say, consistently your points until the final game. Then it's the break. And then I think it's not a disadvantage for the teams. They don't have a lot of players going to the World Cup because they can recover, they can prepare, they can go through a normal preseason. And very often in the summer that after World Cup, some bigger clubs are struggling because the motivation are not so there, and then you have to switch suddenly around and concentrate on the league immediately. And such a World Cup is a massive event where you have a lot of emotional energy also there, and that would be interesting to see. I mean, meanwhile, the top players are so in this rhythm that I think it is not that biggest impact like it was before, because they know immediately that they are so professional that they can switch it around. But I think it's not easy. It's sure more challenge for the big clubs than for us.
And I wanted to ask you about handball. We were talking before you arrived, and I said I've got no idea what's a handball anymore. And I'm thinking, if I'm a manager, I've got to tell my players what to do. After Monday, watching Kilo Kera volleyball the ball into the Bournemouth defender's header, and I'm thinking, I've no idea. Some players are getting booked when they can't even move out of the way. Some players are, and last year we thought it was better. This year it seems to be more complicated again. What do you think of? Does the handball rule need looking at?
I cannot say that it was better last year, to be honest. We had last year also a situation against Man United, I remember, or was it this season, where McDominay was also jongling, keeping the ball high with the hand. So it is tough, a tough decision to make. I think the problem in football is that when a handball is in the box and it's immediately penalty, no matter where it was, where it's not even a goal chance, and you get for this a free shot on goal, and this is in a low-scored sport always a problem for me, because it can be very decisive, and therefore the decisions of what you have to do are too harsh and too hard for the game for itself. But it is the rule, and if you don't find a clear statement what is handball and what is not, then you will always have a problem for giving penalties where everybody thinks no, it's not possible. Yeah.
Bournemouth were unlucky because they said it was a different phase, but I thought if the attacking player affected the ball that was going toward, that ends up being a goal, that should be a free kick. But
yeah, I mean, when you score a goal and there's one moment where you touch the ball with the hand, it's also immediately disallowed. And on the other side, you don't do it when the ball is stopped by the hand. So what is the rule now? This is I think the big problem you have with this rule.
Half the players to know, your players.
Definitely. I mean, and we speak about unnatural positions, and I mean, when you block a cross, I've seen some penalties, and the problem is everybody's immediately shouting and everybody's immediately putting pressure on the ref, and then the VR sees in the slow motion that the ball is on the hand. So what can you do? Everybody is shouting them for a penalty, and as I said, a free kick from outside the box, when you have a handball that is not with how is it called when you do it? Intention, yeah. Changes too much maybe in the game, but I know that I'm sometimes try to think a little bit outside the box, but could be an opportunity to find something in between penalty and not given. So, but it's good that I have to make a lot of decisions, but not this ones, because it's not my job to do it. But think loud sometimes is also nice.
Just interesting. And on Crystal Palace, I know we spoke last week about how Arsenal like to start fast and how you would deal with that and try to, and they did start fast against you. With Palace, it seems to me it's possibly the most intimidating place to go, with the crowd and noise close to the pitch and so on. One of the most, if not the most. And they thrive off their fans. They work off that. So more than Arsenal, I think, the starting well against Palace is enormous for an away team.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it is this season not our absolutely target to start super quick and intense. So we did in some games some a little bit different. But there it should definitely help if you have a good start. But I also remember that we last year made a big mistake and we were one down after I think 10 minutes, and then we were coming back. So everything is possible there. Doesn't make it easier, but we have shown that we can win there, and we have shown that we can make good games there, and we're going there with all the belief.
Okay, we'll move on to the section for 10:30 this evening. Start with you, Jacob.
Afternoon, Ralph. Just on Lianco, over the years we've seen a number of your players get into a few tussles with Wilfried Zaha. Do you feel Lianco would relish that type of task?
I think when you want to play against Wilfried Zaha, then you have to be on your highest, because he is a fantastic player and has super qualities. But in 1-against-1, he's fantastic. In 1-against-2, he has more problems. And in the last years, we were very often stopping him with a commitment from the team, and that frustrates him then sometimes a little bit more. So, but it doesn't need to be with fouls or something like that. This is not our way, how we do it. And I think the last game, Lianco was a little bit too also too much highlighted then, I think, in some moments, and he definitely knows that aggression is good. Yeah, we love this, but not more. Everything inside the rules I absolutely want to see, and then he can be a nasty opponent, this is for sure.
You said after the game against Arsenal that he was better once he came inside the pitch, a bit more central. Do you still see him as that out-and-out fullback sometimes, or do you see him now playing more as a third centre-back?
Yeah, I think as a third centre-back, I think he feels better. He played there more often in his life, so... but we have Ainsley back now, and he can play right back, so we have other opportunities also.
And on Nathan Teller, he scored again last week. How pleased are you with his progress so far?
Very pleased. I know that some people say it's only championship he scores goals, but I must say it's still there. It's a big achievement for me, and this is exactly what we wanted to see, that he gets a lot of game time there and can show his qualities. I mean, he has shown it also in the Premier League so far. So, but for him, it didn't look that he gets enough game time this season. But I think it was the right decision to take.
Okay. Oh my God.
What do they do?
I believe you have a recall option on...
Unless it's the builders.
Okay. Oh, this is not possible.
Yeah, I believe you have a recall option on Nathan. Is that something you consider, or would you prefer an out-season at Turf Moor?
We will see.
That's something that could be activated in January if there's no striker that comes in?
No, we will see what we do. We have our eyes open, and we will definitely look very detailed what we'll do with him.
On Sam McQueen, he came back to the club in a coaching capacity a month or so ago. Does his return show that the club are willing to reinvest or in the youth players that have perhaps suffered a bit of bad luck or have been released, that they've still got a job at the club despite not being a player?
Sam had a horrible history with injuries, and for him it was, I think, a big wish to be still part of the club. And I must say that players like him with fantastic character, you should be always welcome in the club where you are working one time. So we cannot give for every player who was one time here with us a job in the future. But I think for some exceptional players where they had big problems or were very unlucky in their career, I think should be always an opportunity to make the next steps in what direction ever, as a manager or whatever.
Yeah, Ralph, good afternoon. Just firstly on Armel, does that mean if he can come back potentially next week that he has decided not to have the surgery?
Yeah, so far I think he made a fantastic progress with his shoulder, and it looks really good, and he's driven, and he wants to try it, and we will see if it is really happening or not. So far it looks quite good.
Perfect. And I guess that's something that will determine on how he actually comes back, because if it pops out again or if it has another problem, then it might change the plans with that.
Yeah, with this injury, you're never sure how the shoulder reacts when it goes in the first duels. And as a player with his style, you definitely use your arms in some moments and your upper body. So he should be that fit that he can also push somebody away, and you cannot play with the right arm in the resting position. It's not working.
Certainly not for his position against Premier League strikers. You've obviously, with Armel and Romeo, once they do come back, you'll have a little bit of a problem in that you'll have a lot of players who have all been playing quite well. I guess that's a problem you're pretty happy to have at this point.
Yes, it's always a problem that you want to have as a manager. Definitely better these problems than the other ones when you don't have any opportunities.
In terms of the World Cup, you said you don't think there'll be many Southampton players going. That, I guess, gives an opportunity for almost like a second preseason, especially with so many players who came in late in the window, didn't really have a preseason then. Is that a period that you must be looking forward to? Are plans set yet for what you and the club are going to be doing during that time?
At first, we are looking forward to the next 3 games. You speak a little bit too much about the preseason and the World Cup break, and so no, we are focused on 3 Premier League games and 1 Cup game before, and there is a lot of work to do, and then we can sure take the time then for working on things, which is never a bad thing when you have a time to analyze the season so far and see what was working well. And I remember we had one time a long break, the COVID break, and we were coming back super strong, and we had a super finish of the season and ended up in 11th place in the table. So this was maybe our most successful time of the year, because we had time to analyze the season, we had time to change a few things, and we did a good job, I think.
So you must be then not looking forward necessarily, because you're focused on these next 3 games, but it must be nice as a manager to have that period of time to analyze and actually be able to sit down and decompress a little bit.
Yes, but you must be also clear that after this it will come a very intense time with nearly no break until the summer, and there you have to be on your highest, and this is then a very, very intense time where you need all the energy you have.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of defensively, at this point last season, I think you kept 5 clean sheets, only 1 so far this season. I mean, it does seem like the defense is improving. You've obviously got Armel, who's been fantastic since before his injury. Duje has come in and been excellent. Do you think, bad luck? Do you think that the improvements are just kind of slow to come? Why do you think you haven't been able to keep clean sheets?
No, I think we had last year a very, very good start. We had Tino on the right back position, who did a fantastic impact in the summer. And we had a very, very good way of defending at that time. We with Kyle on the left and Tino on the right. Also with the ball, we have had some really good games. And that is, in this season, I think we had 2 games where we conceded more than 2 goals. That was Man City and Tottenham, and the rest we conceded very often 1, or we were losing with one game different, with 1 goal difference. So I didn't have the feeling that we are not unbalanced, or that we are a little bit open in the back. But we have definitely shown that we can defend also against good teams. But the clean sheets didn't happen that often. That's right, yeah. And this is definitely something that can be improved in the future. And I think the first one against Bournemouth was important for the team. And now hopefully there are more coming up.
And just very lastly for me, last season you took, I think, 9 points from losing positions. This season you've already got 8. On the one hand, you don't want to be losing in any games. On the other hand, it must be something that you're quite optimistic about, that you are getting those points back. Has that been something intentional in terms of peaking, I guess, at later times in games, or has it just been a byproduct of the games themselves?
You see how stats can lie. That means that you never had a good start, because last year we had, and this is the other issue, when you always have a good start and against top teams and then lose points because they are, in the end, the quality is simply too good for us, or was not to defend then in the end, and then you say losing points. And now we are having not such a good start and then turn things around. I mean, this is not what we want. We want to have games where we are starting well and keeping the points until the end. That is the thing what we like the most, and what every manager likes the most.
Ralph, in the past you've said that your team have needed to be more nasty at times. Did we see that a bit in the second half against Arsenal? It was quite a physical game plan. Is that when you think your team are really at their best, when they're showing that nasty streak? Yeah,
in a loud way, yes. I don't want to be a team that is playing disrespectful or something like. But I think we have shown that we can break rhythms of teams and can show a different phase also with all the set pieces we had in the second half, and the long throw is definitely a tactical tool to come quick in the opposite half and in the opposition box. Would be better when we score even more. I think we scored 1 from or 2 from a throw-in so far, and what is not bad. But I think this is definitely, the set pieces are definitely I think what we were working on in very much, and a lot of time invested in this part of the game. And I'm sure that there will come a big output in the end of the season. Until the end of the season, we will have definitely gains. They are decided by set pieces and won by set pieces.
Just to pick up on what you were saying about Lyanco, you want to see the physical side, but within the rules. Have you had to have a bit of word with him this week? Then just say, make sure you don't get yourself into trouble with officials.
No. I think it's important for him to understand what is necessary to be a nasty opponent, to be on the jump, to be there. He can feel you. It's no problem. In the rules, everything is good, and then he can be a nasty one, absolutely, because he's very good in 1-against-1. And when he comes from behind, then he's not scared, and he defends on the front foot. And this is what I want to see from him, without all the other things around what is not necessary. But he knows this, and I think he's a very strong belief man. He's praying a lot, and he's a fantastic character with who really likes to play for us, who likes to work for us and fight for us, and this is exactly what we need.
Do you see him becoming a fan's favourite with your supporters, but maybe somebody who becomes a bit of a villain in the eyes of opposition supporters and players probably as well?
When it's in the rules, absolutely right. We can, definitely, and people love. When I'm a fan of this club and I see somebody fighting so much for this club, then it's exactly what you want to see. And this was the reason maybe why, because Ori was so much loved here in this club, because he left everything on the pitch in the time he was here, and this is what people want to see, and this is great to watch.